There is a strange reason the calmest person in the room often has the most influence. It is not confidence. It is not charisma. And it is certainly not the ability to dominate everyone around them. It is something far more uncomfortable. They are less interested in proving that they are important. Most people think pride makes a leader stronger. It makes them visible. It makes them ambitious. It makes them fight for recognition. But Rochefoucauld understood something darker about human nature. Pride does not always announce itself as arrogance. Sometimes it disguises itself as competence, sometimes as justice, sometimes as confidence, and sometimes, most dangerously, as leadership. The person who needs everyone to notice their intelligence can be controlled by anyone who knows how to flatter it. The person who needs to win every argument can be defeated simply by giving them an argument to win. And the person who cannot tolerate being underestimated will eventually reveal exactly what they fear. But there is another kind of leader. They can be ignored without becoming desperate. They can lose an argument without losing themselves. They can enter a room without demanding its attention, yet somehow leave with more influence than the person who spoke the most. Why? What do they understand about pride that everyone else misses? And why does silence sometimes create more authority than speech? There is an even deeper reason. Once you see it, you will begin noticing it everywhere. From boardrooms to political campaigns, from social media to intimate relationships. Because the greatest threat to influence may not be weakness. It may be the desperate need to appear strong. Number 1. Pride wants witnesses. The first mistake people make is confusing inner strength with visible strength. Watch a meeting where two executives disagree. One interrupts, raises their voice, repeats their position, uses certainty as armor. The other listens, takes notes, asks one question, then says almost nothing. Most observers initially assume the first person has more authority, but something changes after the meeting. People begin asking the quiet executive what they think. Why? Because attention creates exposure. The more someone tries to establish their importance, the more information they leak about what matters to them. Rochefoucauld repeatedly examined this uncomfortable side of human motivation. People often believe they are acting from noble reasons, while hidden self-interest is quietly steering the wheel. Modern leadership makes this even more obvious. On social media, people constantly announce their expertise, success, principles, victories, and outrage. They believe visibility creates authority. Sometimes it does, but excessive visibility also creates predictability. Once everyone knows what you need others to believe about you, they know exactly where to press. The calm leader understands the opposite equation. Influence does not always grow when you display more of yourself. Sometimes it grows when you leave something unexplained. And that creates the first paradox. The less desperately you prove your value, the easier it becomes for others to assign value to you. But there is a reason people struggle to remain calm when their status feels threatened. And that reason is much older than modern leadership. Number 2. The ego detects disrespect. Imagine someone criticizes your decision in front of 10 people. Your first instinct may be to defend yourself immediately. You explain, correct, counterattack. You feel that if you remain silent, everyone will assume you were defeated. But this is where pride creates a trap. You are no longer responding to the problem. You are responding to the image of yourself inside other people's minds. That distinction is enormous. A calm leader asks, is this actually a threat or merely an uncomfortable feeling? The question creates distance between stimulus and reaction. Neuroscience gives us a modern language for this, but the basic human pattern is ancient. Status threats can trigger emotional reactions before rational judgment catches up. In politics, executives sometimes destroy negotiations because they cannot tolerate looking weak for 5 minutes. Online, intelligent people spend hours defending themselves against strangers they will never meet because losing an argument feels like losing identity. And in relationships, a simple disagreement becomes a battle over who is right. The strange part is that the person who reacts most aggressively often believes they are protecting their dignity, but they may actually be surrendering control. Because if someone can determine your emotional temperature with a sentence, they already possess a form of power over you. Yet there is an even subtler way pride controls people, and it hides behind something that looks like confidence. Number 3. Confidence does not need applause. Picture two founders presenting the same revolutionary product. The first spends 20 minutes explaining how brilliant the idea is, how competitors failed to understand the market, and how everyone in the industry is finally beginning to recognize the company's genius. The second founder simply demonstrates the product, explains the limitations honestly, and says, "We may be wrong about this." Which one feels more trustworthy? The second. Not because humility automatically creates credibility, but because admitting uncertainty signals psychological freedom. A person who can say, "I don't know," has less need to manipulate perception. La Rochefoucauld's insight into vanity becomes especially relevant here. Human beings often want admiration so badly that they become prisoners of the performance required to receive it. The leader who receives praise becomes dependent on repeating whatever produced the praise. Soon, they are no longer leading reality. They are leading an audience. That distinction matters enormously in the age of AI. Algorithms reward predictable emotional signals. Outrage gets engagement. Certainty gets clicks. Bold declarations get shared. Nuance often disappears beneath the noise. So the calm leader faces an unusual temptation. The world rewards performance, but influence requires judgment. And eventually, every leader reaches a moment when the audience wants a performance, while reality demands something else. Number 4. The performance trap. Here is the pattern almost nobody notices. The more successful a person becomes at appearing powerful, the more expensive it becomes to admit weakness. A young manager can change their mind. A famous CEO may fear doing it publicly. A politician can quietly reconsider a position in private. But once millions have watched them defend it, changing direction becomes psychologically painful. This is the performance trap. Imagine a leader announcing that a new strategy will succeed. 3 months later, evidence says it is failing. Their pride now has two choices: protect the decision or protect reality. The calm leader chooses reality. The prideful leader protects the image. This sounds obvious until you realize how often organizations reward the second behavior. Employees learn not to bring bad news. Teams begin polishing reports. Executives hear what they want to hear. The leader believes everything is under control because nobody wants to become the person who tells them otherwise. Then comes the collapse. Not because the problem suddenly appeared, but because pride made the truth socially expensive. And now we reach the point where calmness becomes something much more powerful than emotional control. Number 5. The silent experiment. Imagine a negotiation between two people. Person A desperately wants the deal. Person B knows this. During the negotiation, Person A fills every silence. They justify their offer, add explanations, offer concessions before being asked. Person B says almost nothing. Then there is silence. 10 seconds. 15. Person A becomes uncomfortable and improves the offer. Nothing magical happened. No manipulation was required. One person simply could not tolerate uncertainty. This is the hidden power of calmness. Silence exposes who needs resolution more. In relationships, the same pattern appears. One person sends 5 messages because they fear being misunderstood. The other waits. In business, one side keeps negotiating against itself because silence feels like rejection. On social media, someone posts an opinion and watches the screen repeatedly, desperate for approval. The common thread is not weakness. It is psychological urgency. The person who needs an immediate response gives away information. The person who can tolerate the unknown preserves options. And that creates a disturbing possibility. Perhaps influence does not belong to the person with the strongest argument, Perhaps it belongs to the person who can remain psychologically intact when the outcome is uncertain. But if that is true, there is one final test pride cannot survive.